What's up, YouTube fans? Today I'm reviewing the MMC Ocular Max Azalea, their version of Arcee. Now, it comes in a very small box. Just for information, it's 6 inches long. It's really compact, it's a really tiny box. It does have accessories in it, but that's all it is. You get some product shots here on the back. You get the tech specs there with the old G1 style scanner card, and of course you've got some credits here, and of course our buddy Pig for Life is on here, Chogo King, the designer. So typical box for MMC, but that's really it for the box. The figure is also small, and here we have MMC's Azalea. And my first impression is this thing feels really small. It's just, there's no way around it. There's no way to avoid the discussion. It definitely feels small. And if you don't believe me, let me bring in some figures for comparison. So, of course, we've got to bring in Fans Toys, their version. So, there you go. There's Fans Toys Rouge with MMC Azalea. And you can see, much bigger. It's wider, it's longer, and it's taller. It's bigger in every dimension. Also, just so that we just take this out of the picture for a second, here's the Takara version of Blue Streak. And this just doesn't look right. I don't know. I mean, Arcee looks fine next to it. You know, it's a crop top, it's a convertible, you know, it should be, you know, it's a hot rod, so it should be kind of short, but in terms of width and length, it's just about right. So I don't understand what this is. Definitely their Perfection series, and their Perfection series is their masterpiece line. But for me, this feels a little bit on the small side. But let's take a look at the vehicle mode. So here it is up close. It's a little bit brighter of a pink shade than Fans Toys Rouge, and you do have some seats in there, really tiny seats. Now the inside does actually have a cockpit. If you remember on Fans Toys Rouge, there was a lot of gappiness in there. They didn't really build a cockpit, so a lot of people didn't like that. But it does have rubber tires. They're not really rubber. They're not really tires. They're O-rings. So they're so thin and so small that they use O-rings for the tires. It does roll, but it's not the greatest. It doesn't roll like Fans Toys Rouge. Just a little more weight, and the tire's a little bit bigger and flatter. These are round O-ring tires, so it doesn't really roll. But it's fine. Here's some details. So you've got some red taillights on the back. You've got some translucent bluish lights on the front, and a little bit of detail, some white paint up here. Actually, I don't even think that's paint. I think that's just white plastic. But that's really it for details. Pretty simple. Now it does come with the guns, and we're going to show those. So here are the two guns. Got some nice detail on these, painted yellow, silver, and these do fit in the vehicle mode right here. So yeah, it does peg in there. It does look kind of cool having the guns up there. The Rouge figure, I don't think the gun plugged in. Let's take a look. So here's the gun. I can't even remember at this point. Yeah, so I don't think there was a spot to plug in the gun, unless it goes back here. No. So you couldn't get her gun onto this figure, but I think that was the biggest deal. That's basically the only weapon. The other thing it comes with separately, it doesn't come installed, is this little spoiler, and I think you have to remove this other piece, which that looks like it's stuck in there pretty good, and I don't want to break it, so I'm going to leave it. But I believe you take this out, but I think it's painted on so tight. That is a painted piece right there, but I think it's painted on so tight that it's pretty tough to get out. So I'm not going to put this on, but it would go right there if you could get this piece off. I don't want to break it. So that's really it for vehicle mode. Let's take a look at the G1 cartoon. We'll take an image up here. And for me, I think this Fansoy's Rouge definitely looks a little bit closer to the G1 cartoon. But of course that's subjective, and even scale is subjective. But let's bring in Blue Streak here. For me, it feels a little bit on the small side. So let's get this transformed into robot mode so we can kind of see how it looks in robot mode. So first you want to take these guns off, and it does have an interesting transformation. I'll say that it's a little bit more intuitive than the Fansoy's Rouge, which is a good thing. You know, it was a pretty tough transformation on the Fansoy's Rouge. So first thing I'm going to do is flip up these little panels right here, like that, and then you can flip up the big panels, and they're just pegged in right there on the side. So you're just removing them from that peg on both sides. Then you want to pull out on these side pieces here, and that kind of loosens up the whole top piece. And you can kind of see where we're headed here. But then you can pull these legs down like that. And the legs have an interesting little transformation, but you want to pull this wheel out. That allows you to fold the leg over. And then you can put that wheel right back where you removed it from. And I do have to say the plastic does feel a little bit thin on this. I'm not getting that really sturdy, you know, thick plastic or die cast. There is die cast down here, but we'll get to that when we take a look at the robot mode. You can fold this down, and that's going to peg in right there. And we're going to get the legs done first because that just makes it easier. There you go. So there's the knee. It's got an interesting mechanism there. You want to rotate this so that you get the thigh like that, and then this is just going to clip in. And it's not the most secure, but it works. So same thing on this side. Lift up the wheel, fold out the leg, put the wheel back, fold this panel out, and hide away the wheel. And that's a cool little, I think that's an ingenious little transformation there. And then fold this down, and now clip that in. And just leave this here for now. Just let it sit there. Now we can bring the arms down. So fold these down like that, and then fold these elbows out. Fold down this little teeny tiny plastic piece that looks like it's going to break. Same on the other side. Fold over the little cover, and then you can put the arms down to the sides. Now we can fold this chest open and pull the head out. The head just kind of is folded in there. And this panel is going to fold down like that. And it does peg in, so you can see the two pegs there. Okay. And now you're going to take this entire, give yourself a little room back here by opening those up. So you're going to rock this down and then push that forward, and it should actually lock in place like that. And on the front, you're going to push this chest piece back, and then that'll also lock in place. So basically push that, and it should click into place. And that, now it's nice and secure. You got to fold these seats down, otherwise you won't get it in there properly. So make sure you fold those seats down. Now you can put this down. There you go, and it clicks in nice and securely. And then click this backpack piece into the back of this, and it's just pegging in right there. Okay, and fold these back so that they're almost like butterfly wings, and fold these back into there. It should just kind of click into place. There you go. And then rotate these so that they face that way. Nope. They face this way. I rotated the wrong way. There you go. Then bring the arms down. And here we have MMC's Azalea all transformed. And not a bad looking figure, but definitely some drawbacks here. So first thing I want to say is the legs do extend downwards, so you can pull them down like that. I think they look a little weird like that, but it gives you additional, and that's one of the issues here. This is supposed to stay pegged in, but it doesn't. But this is a huge problem. Now you might think that's because I pulled it out, so let's push it back in. Not good. Not good at all. It seems like it was supposed to have a ratchet there, but it doesn't. Now, I don't know. This is a weird system they've got going here. Can't really tell what's going on in there, but this feels like it's going to break. I don't know. Not a great joint there, and then this is a huge issue. I wonder if she's going to stand. Oh man. So you do have some articulation there, but it's a weird, just a strange choice for the joint there. Anyway, so let's take a look 360 here. There's a head sculpt. Pretty good. It's got the nice metallic blue eyes and the classic face we've all come to know and love. And you got some detail on the chest there, some paint right there. The knees have some plastic parts for color there. Here's the back. The back is pretty clean, and that's where I think this has a leg up on Fans Toys. But let's bring in Fans Toys, and I think that's going to, I don't know, I think, oh, this has the dreaded too wide of an A stance problem. So if you don't know what I mean, a lot of the old figures back in the day when we were getting Masterpiece figures, they would set the first ratchet click out too far, and this has that problem. It's really just too deep. So you're either here or you're there. I don't know. That's not good. Anyway, let's bring in Fans Toys Rouge here, and I think this is just going to be the tell-all. So it just, for me, it looks too small. It almost looks like a Deluxe or a Voyager. I don't know what size these are, but it doesn't look like a Masterpiece. Let's bring in some other figures for comparison here. Now here you have both MMC's Azalea and Fans Toys Rouge with the movie crew. And you tell me, what do you think? Is it the right size? Here she is next to Hot Rod. Here she is. And now these are both Fans Toys, so I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt, but this is the official. So do you think this looks like the right size with Ultra Magnus? To me, this looks like it's a little short. It's not quite the right height. All right, so let's move on to accessories here, but I just wanted to show what I meant with scale. It feels a little bit on the small side for me. So let's take a look at someone for accessories here. She does come with quite a few extra pieces here. So first, let's go over all the hands. They just plug in, they're just ball jointed, so I'm not going to show me putting them in. I'm just going to go through each set of hands. Right now she has the fisted hands in there, so that's what those look like. Here are the cuppy, I don't know, maybe waving beauty queen wave hands. Here are the, half open grip hands. Here are the gun gripping hands. And now let's take a look at the faces. So for the faces, you're basically going to take apart the head like that, and it doesn't really feel very good, but you're going to pull the face off of here. So we'll go through each of the faces. So this is the standard face right here. There it is with the red visor / sunglass face. And there she is with these bizarre smiling face. It just looks really cheesy. I don't know. Not my favorite. Let's get that off. And there she is with the open mouth lip face, which also another weird face to me. So that's all the faces. Let's get the regular face back on, and then we'll continue with articulation. So for articulation, let's start with the head. One of the things here, and what I didn't show off camera, is putting these faces in. It's very hard to get them in there. The peg to put them on is pretty tight, but you've got this really weird neck, and if you put it backwards, you've got that gap. If you put it forwards, it looks like she's craning her neck. So you kind of put it right in the middle. It looks okay, but it feels like it should go down, and it doesn't. To be fair, here's the fan toys. Got some of the same issue with the neck. It's a little awkward looking, but they kind of solved it by putting this collar in front, which covers up the joint, so it doesn't look as weird. And I think that was a better way to do it, just because she already got an awkward neck. But the head does rotate all the way around. You can get literally any position, way up, way down if you use the neck. So the neck's got its own articulation. So plenty of articulation there. You do get a swivel out to the side. You can rotate all the way around at the bicep. You do have a rotation at the bicep. You have a double jointed elbow, same as Pinstripe Rouge. You get a rotation at the wrist because this is on a ball joint. No articulation on the hands. They're all basically single piece hands. You do get the ab crunch to the side, ab crunch forward, ab crunch back, pretty much every direction. So that's pretty good. And with the Pinstripe Rouge, didn't really get much. You got a little bit of side to side. No real forward movement there. But you can see this backpack was one of the main issues with the fans toys. And I think MMC has a better design for their backpack, because it all kind of, we're going to leave her down, it all kind of locks into place there and gets out of the way. But then we get to the legs, and the legs are not great. So you can pull them down for additional, and that's what happens when you pull them down. This side piece comes out, but you pull them down, and now you can get all the way out to there, goes all the way back to there, all the way forward to there, but very, very loose. I don't know what they were thinking there. There's like no ratchet joint there at all. That was a poor design choice. Just too loose, and that's going to cause a problem when it poses, because it's not going to be secure. But you do have a double jointed knee that goes all the way up to there. I do like how they hid the wheel into the leg. On the fans toys, you had the wheels as the back of the knees. Although that was an interesting engineering, I think hiding it away is actually a better way. Getting back to her. And you do have this knee joint that kind of covers down, which is interesting. So you could move that piece. I think that's a little interesting piece of engineering that they came up with. You get a little knee pad. And then from here down, it's die cast. So everything else on this figure is plastic. This ankle and calf is all die cast. You do get a nice ankle pivot and ankle tilt and a toe tilt, which is part of the transformation, but also provides some articulation there. So you can get a walking pose. One of my issues, and let's push these back in. One of my issues is the A stance is just way too wide on these legs. They had to make this a little bit smaller. And she can stand. She's got the nice flat feet, so you can make her stand a little bit easier. But similar issues because of the weight and the balance and the thinness of the figure. You have to do a little bit of work balancing, but it's not too bad. I would say it probably bounces a little bit better than Fans Toys Rouge. So let's take a look at our guns. The guns do come like this, and you fold out the handles like that. And now you can get it into these hands right here. I missed that earlier, so I had to reshoot this part. So if you see this is cut away, it's because I didn't realize you had to fold out these handles. But there you go, and the actual trigger finger does go into the trigger there, so that's kind of cool. And there she is with her guns, and that actually looks pretty good. This is really an aesthetic choice, you know. It depends what you like. Do you like the die cast, the brighter white, or do you like this more grayish white? Do you like the taller figure, or do you like the shorter figure? It really depends on your preferences and your sensibilities here. For me, this feels a little bit too small for my collection, and it just doesn't feel premium when you pick it up. Now, I asked my wife, you know, what does she think of these two? I showed her both, and she looked at them and picked them both up and said she preferred this one. She felt like this one was a little just had too much junk in the back, which is absolutely true. That's why people hated this figure when it first came out, was the backpack. You know, that was the main problem with this figure. So I understand that. I understand why people have an issue with this figure. But for me, I feel like this one just doesn't improve enough for me to take this on. So if this is your first Masterpiece Arcee, I think you could probably fit it into your collection and keep it. But if you've already got one and you've got this Fans Toys one, I don't think it's good enough to replace it. So that's really it, guys. I'm not going to be keeping this for my collection, but I can see some people, especially those who are big fans of MMC, putting this into their collections and making it part of theirs. For me, I'm going to stick with the Fans Toys. I'm kind of invested with that one. I like the size, I like the height, I like how it fits in with the other figures. So thanks for watching. Next up, I will have the Transform Element, Optimus Prime, and we're going to do some good comparisons with the Magic Square and MP10, so you can kind of compare all three and make a decision on which one you want. But thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.